All right. That's going to be going on over there. All right. I think we're up. Yep, we are. Yay. All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Advanced Administrator Trail. We are working on the next section right here. And like I said, if you contact us, register, subscribe, all that kind of fun stuff, then you will get a copy of this, not only access to this document, where you can add notes to it as well if you find it necessary. Join us live in the Zoom call, not just on ye old-fashioned, not just on the live, YouTubes, but join the class and me talking to the world. But like, subscribe, share, comment, ask questions, get demonstrations, get it worked out, get your understanding down pat. We're working on past and workspaces right now. So let's jump into that trail. Let me go ahead and log in. And if you haven't logged in, I will put welcome back, Trailblazer. Welcome back, Trailblazer. I will put the link to copy link URL into the chat on YouTube's. So it's there for you. Oh, too many. Wow. So you know what I got to do? I got to put that in a bit.ly. I don't have a, hey, Chen, is there a Chrome extension that automatically creates shortened URLs?
I don't know.
I don't either. But I'm not going to do it. So I'm going to create a new link in a long URL. And then source. Medium. I don't understand what that means. Campaign. I don't get that. Let's see. I'm just going to create it. I'll put that in the chat. And now let's go. This should be pretty easy, I think. All right. I think, like conceptually for you and I, it should be pretty easy for us. I don't want to take it for granted that it's easy for everybody, but again, if you're in this class right now, you should have a basic knowledge of the admin, potentially platform app builder, but you've worked in an admin organization, you've worked in a sales operations role. All of those things should have you, really comfortable with the topic and the concept. So we're going to go through pretty quickly on this stuff because look, the biggest thing we're doing is we're creating this document, go through with notes, hit the highlights. And again, like, subscribe, share, and all that kind of good stuff. Let me know your plan. Then yeah, you'll be able to get access to this document right here for free until we package it up and sell it. So, wait if you will, or if you're late, don't worry, join the party. And we'll get through all this together. So get some of this other stuff that's just slowing me down. They tell you I hate AT&T. They tell you that AT&T is no fun. All right. So getting reps working efficiently in workspaces. So we're going to just learn, but you should be able to describe how workspaces benefit your sales reps. Locate the actions your reps use most to work leads and close deals. Review past activity related to a lead or an opportunity. Now, this is all part of your lead management, sales, management strategy, your sales operations, which most of my classes in the Super User Academy are going to be focused on. I just ruined my zipper. Sales operations. Why? Because nothing happens until something is sold. And thus sales is working, nothing else can get paid for. But I want to let you know, service is just as important part of sales as sales are. We're going to get to that. Don't worry. So let's look at how we talk about workspaces. We're really talking about how you lay out your screens, do I even have this completed yet? I don't even know if I completed this one. I've already completed it. So, okay, we'll still test it out. But when you're thinking about what salespeople need, I think what happens a lot of times is most people make the mistake of assuming because they're a salesperson, they already know what to do. I don't have to tell them. Well, that's a great way to lower your sales effectiveness and lower the sales enablement impact that you could have on your organization. And, it's not salespeople they don't always know what to do. They do what they know, they don't always know what to do. So, there we go. Nice. See if I get that fixed. That's better. Much how about it. All right. So here we go. So where are we at? Optimizing sales process. What's the first one we got to be? Optimize the sales process. So we got the link in there. We're going to kick this up a notch. Oh, so good. So describe the impact of onboarding sales reps on your company's reps and managers. Describe the impact of onboarding sales reps on your company's reps and managers, that is coworkers and supervisors and leaders. Gather details about the sales process from experts at your company. Create a functional sales path for your sales reps. So again, a lot of you guys that are becoming admins or advanced admins, you don't have any sales experience. Chen, do you have sales experience? You might, but I don't know.
No, I don't have sales experience.
All right. Well, it's not, I'll say I get it. It sounds true, but I'm going to say that, it may not be true. Like we go through life having conversations that are like sales conversations, except we're not always collecting a check, right? We're not always, trying to get somebody to buy something from us, although we are selling our ideas, our thoughts, our influence all the time in all of our relationships. And the Native American, at least Lakota, have a term called mihomo takwiyasi, which means in all my relations. And I say selling mihomo takwiyasi or selling my homemade taco sauce, which is a crazy way to say, right? But you can't say the words the way they say it, then say it the way I say it, my homemade taco sauce. You're always selling inside your relationships anyway. You're selling what you want that'll satisfy your needs and hopefully giving them what they need in return. So let's talk about getting a sales rep to adopt your company's sales process. Well, first of all, I'll bet you your company doesn't really even know their sales process. I'm just going to guess that. So every company has its own sales process. That's right. Because there's a journey. And when you want to understand this, you have to retrace your steps about the last thing you bought. Literally the last thing you bought. I don't care if you bought it on Amazon or you bought it from a salesperson. Go back in history. Go back to your browser history and look at what you did to discover that that's the thing you wanted to purchase, right? There was a moment in time that you had no awareness that you wanted to buy the thing you just bought, right? But the truth is you just bought it. So what does that mean? Are you crazy? Yeah, we are. You know you need food, clothes, and shelter every day, right? So I'm not talking about those particular things. Those are the basics. Beyond the basic hierarchy of needs being met, when you buy something, especially with discretionary income, especially, go back and discover how you got on that journey. Did you make all the decisions? I doubt it. There was something that impacted, right? So there's a moment in time where your customers become, or prior to being a customer, you're in negotiation with them. Prior to being in negotiation, you're in discussions with them. Prior to getting in discussions with them, you're discovering who they are and they're discovering who you are, right? And before that, you're both unknown to each other. So when you work backwards, you kind of see that every sales has a process. Now, some things are easy, right? You feel a little hungry, you see a Chick-fil-A, you turn in. That's not, but that's part of what we're talking about, right? That could be there. But if somebody's selling in your organization, it's a good idea to watch the data as it transforms backwards. So from the sale, what happened first? What happened before that? 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 And what you'll notice is it's really a series of behaviors and outcomes. Behaviors and outcomes. And outcomes trigger behaviors or change in data, which then trigger a behavior, which then trigger an outcome, which change the data, and then trigger another behavior. Always. That's how it works. Okay. So what you may not be doing is actually capturing all those data points and the ones that are critical to moving to the next stage of behaviors. So the path is a tool that Salesforce, I think they took it from Sales Optimizer, but I can't say that for sure. But Sales Optimizer has a more sophisticated version of this. It's an app on the App Exchange, and Nick Nickick is the guy who runs it and owns it, managing partner. And I've worked with him before, and it's a great tool. That's where I first learned really about the importance of sales process. However, Salesforce came out with the path. So there are benefits to the path. Remember, one of your learning objectives is the impact of onboarding sales reps on your reps and your managers. So understanding the benefits of the path is to start there, right? So when you set up the path, you're setting up trail guides, if you will. Like imagine going out in the woods with no signs, no trails, no evidence of where you should go. You know east, you know west, you know north, you know south, you know up, you know down, you know forward, you know back. Well, that's it. So what the path does, it actually guides you down your known milestones from getting from point A to point Z. Point A being unknown, point Z being concluding a sales conversation, whether you win it or lose it, right? So the path, when you set it up, you're saying, hey, I've observed the majority of behaviors. I understand the data that changes, that changes the agreement about what behaviors I need to now change to get different outcomes and collect that data on those outcomes. So Maria works with company sales reps. Maria's work helps the company sales reps qualify their leads, convert them into opportunities, and then manage that conversation until it's closed, won or lost, right? So who benefits? Sales reps learn the steps that they take. Now, why are those steps important? Well, think of it like an assembly line, right? And an assembly line, there are things that happen at each station of the assembly line, and they happen in a particular order. And if you start in the beginning, right, then you end up at the end with a completed widget, car, TV, I don't care what it is, right? And the same thing happens in sales. There's a spot where things happen, and when those things are complete, you can move to the next spot, right? So it helps sales reps get clarity on what they should be doing next. Managers can manage the likelihood of the forecast and the understanding of the kinds of work their sales reps should be doing at any one moment in time, given the volume of records in each stage of a path. So what makes up the path? So that path, I want to get to it. I want to show it because, right, that path is a visual representation. Down here, you can see it, right, of where you start the project and how you end the project. And that's what a lead, an opportunity, a case, all of those are little projects. They'll have a beginning, middle, and an end. And at the end, there's an outcome of what you expected to have happen or didn't have happen, right? It's either qualified or unqualified as a lead, closed won or closed lost as a sale, or resolved or unresolved as a case. That's it. Every record has a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's just the stuff in between. So the path is this visual representation of where you're at in the conversation, where you're at in the process, and what there's key to do, what's your best practices, what's your best guidance, what's your information you're given, and anything that's relevant for that stage of the conversation as both a reminder and a reinforcement of the training that you gave them. So so when you're creating the path, you've got to get the sales, management, leadership, operations all aligned on what each stage of the process means in terms of behaviors and outcomes. What are the behaviors that they should be taking at this stage? What does my side of the assembly line look like? What are the parts they need? What are the questions they ask? What information is most critical to know that you can move from one stage to the next? Because it's like, in that behavior, the outcome you're looking for is a response from the other party that you can fill in the data and then triggers you to move to the next stage. So that you always know what to do with a record in whatever stage it's in. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to reread it. You don't have to look at it, right? So you're not making up, you're not remembering what to do. You're reminded what to do because of the stage of that record, all right? So you ask about specifics, deals, or specific details that are required. This is called gathering requirements. Hey, how do you know that a new lead is worth pursuing? What is the information you look for, right? There will be blanks in the database without that information. So you can filter not only by the stage, but by the data that's missing at a stage. Right? So how do you know when it's open versus new versus contacted versus verified versus converted versus unqualified or qualified, right? As you go through each step of the sales process. Now, look, you're going to have a hard time gathering this. If you're an advanced admin, because they're not going to all be in agreement. One person will say one thing, another person say another. This is an opportunity to have organizational transformation because you actually get to create agreement about what things mean as it relates to data, right? So here you might have two different types of things that you sell. And if you do, then you're going to gather two different kinds of information from the prospect because you're going to go down two different paths, right? And in this example, we're talking about converting leads. So there's two sales processes. One, a lead for somebody who wants an energy system, or someone who already has a system that wants a service plan. They want it maintained for them, right? So open. I know when it's an open lead, before I can go to contacted, I need to make sure I have contact information, right? I need to know their name, maybe their company name, maybe their phone number, maybe their email, verify those things work, and then you want to give them guidance for success, right? So if somebody wants a system, I need to know your name, your company, your phone, your website, and your revenue, because maybe you're selling to companies. And so, hey, what's your guidance in order to succeed at this stage? When the lead comes in, you get a notification. If it's past 5 minutes, you already know you missed one of the standards, right? But you put that in the guidance for success, part of the path we're going to look at in the system in a second. You want to learn about their business, visit their website, learn a little bit about them, see how they present themselves to the world, and see how your product or service matches with them. But you're going to collect these 5 fields to know that, okay, once I've researched them within 5 minutes, now I can try to make contact. But I don't want to do it until I find out they have a website, what's their deal, like you can tell, right? Before you waste your time going through behaviors that they're not really ready for. You don't know if they're ready for that yet. Whereas if it's a service plan, you want their name, their company, their phone number, right? But you want to know what kind of system do you already have? Is there any information date when it was installed, right? Did you capture that on the lead itself, or do you have to go contact them, right? So, but you want to get that before you say, all right, what are they looking for before you can move to the next stage? All right, I live in a cave. Do you have solar? No, I don't. I don't have solar, right? Whatever that is. And then there's contacting. Right? Once you're contacting, you're having a conversation. What data would you collect for a system? Well, what's your energy usage? What's your energy cost? What's your budget? What's your time frame? Right? Your bank. And then, get the email, get their industry, get their consumption, rehearse your call script. Those things. If you do that at that stage, after you've done a little bit of research, you're now making good contacts. You're not just contacting people, but you're making contacts that you're not just counting contacts. You're making contacts, you're connecting so that it counts, right? Same thing on the other side, right? But you're going to collect different data because you're trying to lead to a different outcome at every stage. They live in an apartment. They can't have solar, right? Or something. I don't know what it takes to have solar. Did they have an approved installer? What is it still, what are the parameters that say, yeah, we'll provide a service contract for this? It's just like saying, if you call up a shop and says, hey, can you maintain my car? And they say, sure, let's come in at Friday at 4:00. We'll do a maintenance check on your car. And they don't ask you what kind of car you have. I wouldn't go to that shop, would you? I like, hey, do you work on Alfa Romeos? Because I used to have an Alfa Romeo. And you can't just let anybody work on an Alfa Romeo. They got to know not to do this, not to do that, not to do the other thing. Because it'll mess up the Alfa Romeo. You can't have that. That'll cause you more damage than it's good. So, if they say, well, what kind of Alfa do you have? Like, oh, okay, good. He's trying to figure out, does he have the right mechanic to work on my car? Right? You're trying to see if it's a good fit. And then whether it's converted. So if the lead is qualified, then you convert it to a records that you could do business with. And that's where so that's what you do. If it's not qualified, then you don't need to waste any more time on it. You already discovered that right now, this lead isn't qualified, and then you just throw them back to marketing and say, keep marketing until they grow up or we start offering something that they can use. And whatever data marketing has, they can use to fulfill those 2 requirements for marketing, right? But it's still a good lead. So you've got to understand what details matter at each step. Now, in the path, you can collect 5 fields per stage, per step. And you can offer guidance for success in any way, shape, or form that you want. About 1,000 characters, but you can use links and images and other things if you need to. So when you have the path, again, you have that little drop down and you could pull in the 5 key fields for each stage. Another way that I like to look at this is this. Think of it like little escape rooms. If you ever played one of those escape rooms where you got to find certain clues within an hour, so you got to get out so you can get out of the room successful, hopefully, to win. But if you're working with a bunch of knuckleheads or strangers that don't play well with others, good luck. It may or may not work really well. So, but the goal is at each stage, they should be collecting all the right data to say, yes, you're ready to move to the next stage. a lot of sales reps have what's called sales psychosis. They get on the phone with somebody or they meet somebody in a networking meeting, like this person's great. They immediately create an opportunity and they make it, closed won. Do you know what they want? No, but they're great. And then it's not closed won. You didn't have a full conversation. You had a psychotic conversation. That means psychologically you had a conversation, but you didn't record the data in Salesforce. So you can also get to the point where you even, can Salesforce them to collect the data at each stage using things like validation rules that would prevent them from moving to a stage without the required information. Just like you wouldn't move a car down the assembly line to put tires on it if you haven't installed the axles already, right? So you got to have something that's prerequisite in order to move to the next stage. You have to find all the clues to move to the next escape room, and then the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And depending on what you're selling, who you're selling, how you're selling, you might need different sales processes, which is why we have record types and those other things. So we're going to probably set up the path in Salesforce, right? So you're going to go to sales path, you're going to enable it. And then you're going to give the path a name, pick the object for the path, choose a record type if there's more than one, and then which pick list value is going to guide your process. Usually it's lead status, opportunity stage, and case status are your three major ones for the standard objects. And then you pick at each stage, you add the 5 fields that should be filled in before they can leave that stage, and any guidance for success that explains why those 5 fields, how those 5 fields, when those 5, well, when, but any information they could use to gather that information about those 5 fields and do it for each one of the stages. And then you could even add so they want me to create one on opportunities. Get to my advanced admin trail mix. Let me take a look at it. Any questions? Does that help a little bit? Does that give you some insight, Chen? About like why the path is more than just this visual representation of pick list values? Because it does, I tell you, yeah, go ahead. Anything you picked up from that?
Yeah, definitely could be the path could be very powerful, like a very useful tool for the salesperson. And also a useful tool for the admin to be like, have you looked at the path?
Yeah. Here's a great sales manager question for those of you guys that want to pass something along. To your sales managers, you could say, hey, somebody's having trouble. If a sales rep says, I'm having trouble with this lead or I'm having trouble with this opportunity, I go, what stage of the path, what stage of the process are you on? Great. And then go back and look at the earlier stages and see if they have all the data collected. Like, of course you're having trouble. You're trying to put tires on a car that doesn't have an axle. So what are you doing? So, yeah. So there you go. So if we do path and you click enable the path, not learning paths, that's a little different. First you enable it, then you create a new one. And what's this one going to be? I think this one is called retail loan opportunities. Copy this. There we go there. Account name, amount, lead source, main competitors, opportunity owner. The prospecting stage, name, amount, lead source, main competitors. Account name, amount, lead source. Account name, amount. I think opportunity owner is ridiculous. It tells me somebody doesn't understand. Well, listen, it might be reasonable, right, at this first stage, if you have a sales development rep cases, make sure these things are filled in. Once you're doing prospecting, you got it all done. You're like, oh, this is all great. Flip it over. Then a sales rep may take it over at the qualification stage or the needs analysis. All that's awesome. Let me do next. You can activate, you got to activate the path. I like celebrations occasionally. We're not gonna do it
I like
now.
celebrations. It's awesome.
But here's my tip for celebrations, right? Initially, when you launch the path, set up celebrations to be done all the time at every stage. Every time they move stage, give them a celebration. After a week or less, no more than a week, then start taking that away from other stages. Like,
Yeah.
right? Take it away from other stages. And then start making it, then you can start making it, I'll show you. Then you can start, I'll do the celebrations. I love the celebrations. I think it's awesome. So when you get to the celebrations, enable celebrations. So which one do I want to want? In the first week, everybody, right? And then when then you start taking away some, like, okay, great. Hey, what are the bigger moments, right? So if they've qualified, yay. If they've identified decision makers, yay. If they're in negotiation review, hooray. And if they close, won, or lost, then do it. And you could choose to say rarely, sometimes, often, always. Well, once I change it to this, I'm going to then put it to often. Or I may do this one always for another week. Depends on how fast they move through those stages and the opportunities. Because I want to get like hooked on it. And then I want to start taking those key transition points, right? Because identifying decision makers, you might have them say that, yeah, and you have contact roles on the opportunity then, right? So hooray, you're adding contacts to the conversation. And then you would change it from these 4, from always to often to sometimes to then rarely, over a series of weeks, depending on your sales cycle and how fast it moves through. Right? You want to give them about 30 or 40 hoorays in a day, and then start winding that down until they want to get to that, those other ones. And then it happens rarely. So they never know when it's going to happen. And then it becomes a surprise. Humans love surprises.
That's true.
As long as it's the surprises they want.
That's true.
Nobody likes to be driving, woo, and getting a cop behind them.
Or an unexpected overnight visitor.
Unexpected what?
Overnight visitor.
Right. Hey, I'm friends with Dominic. He said you were here in Texas and want to stop in and
Stay
he said I can spend the night with you guys. Like, they were great. By the way, I used to have a friend that did that. His name was Sonny Bondurant. And if he knew me, or somebody he knew, he would stop at your house and ask to spend the night. It was great. So, all right. So let's getting them working efficiently in workspaces. So describe how workspaces benefit, locate the actions your reps use most to work leads and close deals, review past activity related to a lead or opportunity. Awesome. So those are all things you should be able to do, right? So learn how reps work efficiently in workspaces. So when it says that workspaces help reps get super efficient when they qualify leads and work deals, why is that? Well, because when they're working the deals, what did we put that on the opportunities? When they're working the deals, the stages of the opportunities become more meaningful, right? So when I'm looking at all of my closing next month opportunities, I don't know if I have any of those or not. Let me look at my opportunity pipeline. I'm not even sure if this is a good list for you. We'll see in a second. What's my filter? Oh, I'm going to go all opportunities. And the close date. It's going to kill that. So my opportunity pipeline should be all opportunities based on owner, let's say. And then closed equals false. And technically, who they belong to, they all belong to me anyway. So technically you would do like, my opportunities. This is all opportunities is all the pipelines. I'm gonna go back to all. Remember, you have your filter by owner. These are your scope filters. And then you can start adding data filters. So these are all my 13 open opportunities. And what are my close dates? All right, so let me change my close date to update all. Remember, this is a great, like this is a tool, right? I want to update all my opportunities to a new date. Voila. Now I'm going to take and sort by stage. And I might say, you know what? If they're prospecting, qualification, needs analysis, value proposition, ID decision makers, given our cycle, maybe that's going to be, in October before they close. And if they're in ID decision makers or perception analysis, they're closer. I can update that close date and say that's going to be September 23rd. And if they're proposal negotiation, then, by today, or I might even say, right, that they'll close by the end of this month. Now I can save all those records. And I got a much better look-see at what's happening. So now when I look at the Kanban view, yeah, the close date is helpful. But for me, let's say I've got a sales development rep that takes them all the way through qualification, but I'm looking at all the opportunities. I don't even need to pay attention to the first two. Why? Because that's somebody else's job. I'm an account manager. I know they're there. I'm concerned because there's only two of them. I might call my lead qualifier and say, come on, man, convert me some leads and give me fill my pipeline, right? I only got one in needs analysis. I've got stuff that's not going to close anytime soon. I mean, I got money that's closing this month and next month, right? Because I could see the dates, but that's only, if I'm 50-50, that's 400 grand that I'm going to close in August. And I got only 100 grand that I'm going to close in, September. And shoot, in my other stages, my October closes, this might be, it's $1.2 million, let's call it. That might be worth 300,000 in October, but I got a big dip in September. If I know my stages and I know my probabilities, whether I know anything else, I got a good feel for what my income is going to happen in September, because what my sales are going to be, because I don't have enough in the pipeline. So I got to move some of these into some of this now, not wait till next month, right? I got to move them. I got to move these guys over to proposals and price quotes. I got to get them out of that long away close date, see if I can move it up. Or maybe that's just, I got screwed before because I wasn't paying attention to my leading metrics. But now my guidance for success in each opportunity tells me more about what has to happen for verify, right? Oh, what's my main competitor on this? That's what they got to fill in. Verify they can't have any cases. They don't. And, how do they do that? They go into the account, or they just hover to discover, like, voila. Any cases? No cases at all. Voila. Who's my main competition? And then I pop in, the other guys. And now I'm ready to mark that stage complete and move it to the next stage. So that helps for efficiency. And if there are a bunch of opportunities in the pipeline, they can, now that they're done with all their prospecting, right? So then when they're done with qualification and they move that one, the next one over, and the next one over, and the next one over, then they go back to leads and start working and qualifying leads to fill up the front of the pipeline stages, right? So that's why they're kind of laid out this way. So when you're looking at each one of those things, like, so for example, when you go to the anatomy of a lead and you look at the path, which we didn't activate yet, I guess it's open, I'm working. I want to look, how is this working? How did I contact them if I have no activities? That's what the sales manager can say. Hey, why did you say you contacted them? I don't see any logged activities. Where did you contact them? Oh, I met them at a mall. Then put it in Salesforce, you knucklehead. How am I supposed to remember that? I just had to interrupt you to ask you a question that all you had to do was spend an eighth of the time, both of our time. That's why it's an eighth, right? Because a quarter of my time and plus the time it took you to stop, realize it, stop, talk to me, and wait for get an answer. You just wasted all kind of time. You could have communicated. Oh, recap my call. Met. B and I. That's where I went this morning. Right? I could record that. I could record that and then create a new task to say, told her I'd call her by Friday. That's tomorrow. And, you know, I haven't started yet. So now I can go manage my tasks once I get through all my lead qualification stuff, right? So yeah, now I can see that's a contacted and it's working, right? I'm working the lead. And you know, I might convert, I might not, depends on what, it might not be her that's a prospect. She's got a couple of friends like, oh, I don't do any of that, but I want some, I got 2 friends that are looking for that right now. Let me give you them. I can work that, collect the 2 leads and then move on. I don't need to keep calling her to see if she wants, she's already told me very clear. She lives in a cave apartment with no sunshine and no access to electricity. So she doesn't need our solar plant. But she got 2 friends that have houses with big yards and lots of sunshine. Been talking about solar. Yeah, great. She's unqualified. Let me collect the next. But I want to keep it in my process. When I'm working it, I'm working the contact to get something. Because if you get an unqualified lead, you better get 2 unqualified prospects from it. Get 2 referrals from it. Why not? Right? So you got your activities, you got your chatter, you got notes, you got your activity history. So again, all of the visibility is there. All you have to do is put it in so nobody has to interrupt your day or theirs to stop and talk to you. All right, let's see. Lead works. You can watch that video on your own. So opportunity has the same thing, except now you can add more people, more partners. You can add people internally and externally, contact roles, opportunity team. And all of your data you collect now is going to be about that particular conversation, right? What's happening in this conversation? All the lead information is going to travel over with whoever was talked to before when they're added to this opportunity. And, you know, you've got that path that you're going to do. Let's see what that exercise is. So we're going to create a lead and then create an event and mark the open contacts. Okay, so I'm not doing that right now. You can see how to do that. I just demonstrated how to do that. So if I didn't create an event, if you need to create an event and you're in this class, go back to the other classes. Stop it. You're crazy, right? So questions, comments, concerns about that one? So if I had to say, describe the impact of onboarding sales reps on your company's reps and managers, you know, the impact is it creates consistency, organization, collaboration, and easy, right? Gather details about the sales process for experts your company, right? So gather the requirements behaviors create a functional sales path for your sales reps. We did that, right? So you might want to talk maybe something in there about, enable, name, update, stages. Right? Put those notes in and what you learned, what caught your attention. All right. The work benefit your sales reps. It guides them along the way. It shows them so what I mean by collect the behavior. So it allows them to chunk their behavior. Right? Actions are you most locate the actions your reps use most to work leads and close deals, right? These are the behaviors. Yep. So the behavior, right? So we're now creating these, we're discovering patterns. Humans love patterns. We're discovering the patterns that work to produce results. Whatever they record, right? We're now saying if you record it, you might see one rep that does 10 things more than everybody else and sells half as much. Like, hey, stop doing those 10 things. It's not adding any value to you. You could stop doing work and produce more than all the work you're doing that's producing less. So cut it out, right? So there's that. All right. Any questions, comments, concerns about that?
No, we're good.
Good.
It's pretty simple.
Right? So let me ask you a question. It's almost 6:30 when we started a little late. We had a little bit of a conversation beforehand. Are you into doing more? You want to do the next section?
Maybe not today because my sister's here and I have to make dinner.
Yeah. So I was gonna say that's a good time to stop. It's a short class today. But what I want people to do is go through the next step in the path for themselves. I get to do this one. So I'm gonna say knowledge setup and customization. Go ahead and complete that and we'll just discuss it. And then set up Salesforce knowledge. We'll do next week when we pick up again on Wednesday.
Okay.
Cool.
We're picking up on Wednesday?
Yeah. Put it back on me.
All right,
Perfect.
great.
All right. Beautiful. Thanks, Jen, for being here. Have a great day.
Thank you
Bye.
for having me.
Tell your sister I said hi.
I'll tell her. She's on 800 words, she said, or 900 words.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good for her.